Are we ready, Aaron?
Yeah, we're ready. I'm on whenever you are.
We're going to call to order City Council meeting Tuesday, June 17, 2025 at 6 p.m. Wilson City Council Chamber. We have a roll call by Ms. Wright.
Madam President, before I call the roll, I just want to say I think we're going to have some people that are going to speak tonight. Please remember to be respectable in your language towards whoever you're going to be speaking to, please.
Which will be me.
Thank you.
All comments directed to me. Not really to me, but.
All right. Mayor Goodman?
All right.
I'm here.
Council President Hines?
Here.
Vice President Cox?
Here.
Councilmember Jones?
Here.
Councilmember Martin?
Here.
Councilmember Riccio, she had an emergency. Online, we have City Manager Sue Bodette. Attorney Kirsten Ballou.
Here.
City Clerk Latricia Wright, I am here. And for the record, we have Public Works Supervisor Donald Barber on the line as well, and all other staff.
Present.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we'll have the opening prayer and pledge of allegiance to the flag by Mayor Charles Goodman.
Thank you, Madam President. Join me if you will. We come to you today hoping to do the best that we can and needing your guidance, Lord, in every step of the way. Help us to follow the tenets that you laid out before us so that we can have a more caring and altogether better city. We know that many cities are struggling these days, and we're no different. And I ask you to be with each member of our staff, all of the people that perform all of these very necessary services that many of us take for granted. Lord, I just ask you to protect them when they're out in that weather, when they're in dangerous situations. And Lord, I ask you to protect their officers and the fire department. In your name, amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much.
Sounds sick. She's got it going. You still can't see it? No, something else happened. Oh. Okay, so item number 1. Any additions, deletions, changes, and approvals of the agenda?
Seeing none, I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
I second. We have a motion and a second. The motion carries.
You got to go to.
It does not carry. Okay. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say aye. No opposed. 4-0. The motion carries.
You don't have to do that.
Item number 2, proclamation, National League of Cities, Small Cities, month of June, Mayor Charles Goodman.
Can everybody else hear this thing?
Nope.
You go ahead. You're supposed to use them. That's fine. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Hello?
Go ahead.
Hello? Hi, Aaron.
He turned it up.
Today, we are going to celebrate with a proclamation, National League of Cities Small Cities Month for the month of June 2025. Laura Jones. There she is. Would you please stand beside me, Miss Jones? Whereas small cities and towns under 50,000 in population are the home to millions of Americans and constitutes the vast majority of municipalities across the United States, and whereas small cities and towns strive to strengthen their communities through the provision of services and programs to improve the quality of life for all citizens. And whereas the federal government is an essential partner in the success of small cities and towns and must be encouraged to continue to support programs and legislation that strengthens small communities. And whereas organizations, businesses, and citizens are partners in the success of small cities and towns, and must be encouraged to continue to grow their efforts to make small communities a viable choice for people to live in. And whereas during these challenging economic times, the need for a renewed intergovernmental partnership to support the essential public services is more important than ever before. Now we need to ensure the safety and the growth of small town America. And whereas the National League of Cities President and the Small Cities Council of the National League of Cities have declared June 2025 as Small Cities Month, now, therefore, the Council of the City of Williston does hereby proclaim June 2025 as Small Cities Month and encourages President Trump, the Congress, state governments, organizations and businesses, and all citizens to recognize this event and to work together this month and throughout the year to invest in small cities and towns to better the lives of all citizens. By my hand, Mayor of Williston, Florida, Charles Good.
Okay, item number 3 is going to be public participation. This is your first of 2 opportunities to address the council. At this time, anyone in the audience can come to the podium and speak for 5 minutes on any topic other than what is on the agenda. Please state your name and residence. Just a reminder, the council does not have to comment. Do we have anyone who would like to speak? If you're going to speak, I need you to come to the mic. Okay.
Tell him there's 2 places.
You can, at the end, if you're feeling better, you can talk then. Okay. Is there anyone else? Okay, we're going to move to item number 4, consent agenda. Council minutes from June 3rd, 2025 will be on the next agenda. so we can move forward. So item number 5, updates. Any updates from the city manager? You said she's online.
Yeah, just a minute. Hang on a second. Okay, Sue, go ahead.
I'm here. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, just a couple of updates. I want to let everybody know that on Friday, June 6th, that Latricia and I attended the North Florida Economic Development Partnership, NFEDP Board of Directors meeting in Lake City. The key takeaway was that the CDBG DR grant, which is administered by Florida Commerce by way of HUD, is going to be opening. There's $925 million to administer, and like I said, the application cycle is forthcoming. Secondly, Fiber by Central Florida did provide a broadband update. According to CFEC, they so far have invested $94 million in their fiber rollout, and it's been 2 years since their first customer was signed on. They have a potential of 34,000 residential and commercial customers, and they currently have 15,000 active customers out of those 34,000. So in all, they've got about 10 full-time employees and over 50 contractors working on that project. Second, I want to let you guys know that on Monday, June 9th, Patricia and I attended an FMIT pre-renewal meeting where we met with Lindsay Johansson. She advised increases on several of our lines of insurance. For property insurance, we're looking at either zero flat increase to 12% decrease because their property insurance rates have evened out, which is good news. For general liability, we're looking at a 4 to 6% increase. For cyber liability, about a 5% increase. Auto insurance is going to be between 20 and 25% increase, so that's obviously the one that's the most affected. And then depending on payroll, work comp, insurance rates will be about a 3 to 5% increase as well. So pretty much around the 3 to 5% for everything except for auto, which again is going to be about 20 to 25%. And then we have a meeting on July 24th with Lindsay Fisher to review medical insurance rates. And then last but not least, on last Wednesday, June 11th, Kim and I attended the Utility 101 Fundamentals of the Utility Training in the City of Newberry, and then we have a second training, Utility 201 Finance and Planning, that's going to be next week on June 24th. And that's all I have for updates.
Thank you. Anything from staff? Ms. Laura?
I wanted to introduce our new Code Enforcement Animal Control Officer, Christy Lewis. She's sitting over here. Stand up so everybody can see you.
Say her name again. I'm sorry, Laura.
She's Christy Lewis. I'm going to let her introduce herself.
If you'll come to the podium, please,
Christy
ma'am.
Lewis, is that what you said? Thank you.
Hi, I'm Christy Lewis. I'm the new Animal Control Code Enforcement Officer. I came from Hillsborough County, did 20 years of animal control cruelty investigation there, did 2 years of animal control in Levy County, and now I'm here.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome. All right, go ahead, Donald.
Madam President, you guys asked at the last meeting when it was inquired about a parcel that could be put up for sale along Southeast 6th Street to reach out to the engineers. Wright Pierce has responded, and Sue asked me to cover briefly that they are recommending that we keep the parcel to alleviate flooding in the general vicinity. They came out with a flood map that we can email to all the council through Latricia, and he said that if we want to alleviate some of the issues in the area, that piece and that parcel would be valuable to the city. And that's the recommendation from Wright Pierce. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. Do I have anything from the council?
I have a couple of just a brief things. I don't know whether Laura attended today, but I attended a webinar put on by Retail Strategies about downtown redevelopment. It was, like I said, a webinar online. Retail Strategies is the company we tried to get the grant through Duke Energy for, and I think they sent it to all of us, but I'm not really sure. It was small budget, big impact, how rural downtowns are winning in an incremental approach. It was really good. They're going to send it out, and I will send it to Latricia in case y'all all want a copy of it. It was really good, I thought. Told how you didn't have to spend a lot of money to incrementally improve your downtown and get people to come to it. I thought it was an excellent thing. The other thing I wanted to do as an update, Mr. Jermaine Pitts, who was at our last meeting, who wanted to play ladies softball at YAA. I've talked with him. I've talked with the YAA president, Tommy Provo. What they're asking for, what the softball group is asking for, is home games. And they started playing in April. That's when they started practicing anyway. And their season is over in September. So what we've offered them is 3 home games. And he says he's been trying to get home games for 2 years. I said, well, what about we go after 3 games for the rest of this season? He was very happy with that. So now we're trying to get together the waivers, the insurance, the special event application. He was here briefly before the meeting, and he has a meeting with Tommy Provo tomorrow. And I have the waivers and things they're currently using that I'm going to send to Kirsten and just let her make sure they're sufficient. Our name is not in them. So I know we at least need to add the city to that waiver for not only this group, but every group that's playing out there. And because it needs to protect us now that we're in the middle of that park as well. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Wall? Mr. Mayor, you have anything for us? Okay. So item number, yes, sir.
I would like to defer to Hector to give us an update on the wireless project. I mean the fiber project.
Can we do it at the second discussion? Second.
It's kind of a staff update.
It was a staff update. It's just going to let him do it. Yeah.
Kind of a staff update, yeah.
So say staff update.
Good evening, everybody. Madam President, Vice President, council members, and staff. Residents, this is a 60-second update. Hector Samari with Performance Services. Mostly answering any questions that you may have. With me is Mike McCann. He's our project manager for the project. Just a quick background. March 4th was when the contract was approved. The financing terms were also approved, submitted by Seacoast. There was an amendment because of the material purchase on April 22nd, and on May 6th, the financing was finally approved. About 6 weeks ago, financing was approved. Where we are today, things that have been done, all the material, I shouldn't say all, a great deal of the material has been ordered. It's sitting in the wastewater treatment plant yard, vaults, guide wires, messenger wire, tracer wires, and so on and so forth. We've looked at the other remaining material that we have to order. There's no issues, no backlog, no delays. Now, the only, I'll say with 2 exceptions. Really, it's the in-home equipment, and we're going to talk to Aaron about how to get that, try to make sure we expedite that. It's not a delay yet, but we want to make sure that there aren't any delays with that. And also some of the headquarter equipment. So, Aaron, we'll be getting with you on that. We have the trailer coming for the superintendent, which will serve as the office. It's sitting in Ocala now. Dry storage has been identified. Reefer truck is being delivered to the wastewater plant to house any of the electronics. We have a call tomorrow. Actually, we had the call today on the material updates. Working with staff to refine any of the, any of the tweaks that are required with the scope. The construction drawings are done with City Hall and the area around City Hall. Additional construction drawings will be done for each of the phases as we get to them. And we have been working with staff, and they have been doing a wonderful job on the make ready for the polls. I think they've completed about 15 or 20 of them already. We have crews on standby, 2 crews on standby, ready to get started as soon as we get all the equipment that we need and have everything stationed. Each of those 2 aerial crews will be doing about 1 mile a day, so about 2 miles averaging of aerial per day. We have a 3rd crew on standby getting ready to. They'll be focused in on the RV resort, and they'll be working on the underground there at the RV resort. And they'll be working in tandem. As we're doing the aerial, they'll be doing the RV resort. Last thing is, I just wanted to add that the fact that you have some of your fiber techs, I think they're already available. That's huge because they're going to get to see firsthand all, what's going in, and they'll know the system inside and out, like the back of their hands, when it comes time for any future updates or if they're repaired, whatever may be needed. It's great that you have them in place now because they're going to get to see as we install it how things go. That's it, and happy to answer any questions.
Where are you going to put the superintendent's trailer?
At the wastewater treatment plant.
Okay. You're gonna... Got it. Okay, I know that's a very silly question, but I just wondered.
No, not silly.
Mr. Mayor.
Speaking for silly questions, what is fiber insurance?
Mike, sir.
What is fiber insurance?
I never heard of such a thing. If you're asking me.
I'm asking the president because earlier somebody said in listing all the things, fiber insurance. And I'm just simply asking what it is.
When Sue was talking about the insurance rates increasing.
Oh, you mean cyber insurance.
Cyber.
Cyber.
Mr. Mayor, cyber.
Cyber.
So,
Okay, so it's not for fiber, but
No.
cyber is from fiber, right?
The cyber is getting hacked.
So
Essentially, it's insurance that protects you if you get hacked. Or the city gets hacked. Not you, but the city. Or you, if it's your city laptop.
Madam President, if I may,
Yeah.
just briefly, it's not related to fiber directly.
exactly.
It's
Thank you.
related to other
Thank you.
operations of the city.
Over here, when people speak quietly, I cannot hear the difference between cyber and fiber. Thank you.
So I have a question.
Yes.
So you said we're going to have 2 crews, eventually 3. You're going to have 1 crew out there at the RV park. The other crews are going to be running lines for.
Yes,
for
the
our city.
aerial lines. Yes, sir.
Cool.
Sir, if you will step to the microphone for us.
Thank you.
So
State your name.
My name's Mike McCann, project manager. So the system starts here at the city hall, and it'll extend out. It'll go out and circulate through the whole city, and it'll go past the RV park actually fairly quickly, or that'll be one of the earlier pieces, and we'll tie that in. The full installation will take quite a while, but as we get areas done, so that the area near here will be done relatively quickly, and as soon as we get light on it, we'll be able to start tying in customers in those areas. So as we go, we'll be enabling the fiber to each of that, make it available to each of the houses if they sign up.
Thank you. I know we do have a lot of people excited for it. So that's what I was telling Aaron and I were talking about. So
Any other questions?
We're all excited. I'm excited too.
Yeah, we're very excited about finally getting here. I mean, there was the financing, as you know, it took 2 months. That was a delay, which we weren't expecting, but we got to do it. Justin Head from Seacoast did a wonderful job. Even though that there were more costs involved at their end, he kept to the term sheet as much as he could, really almost to the full extent. So he did a wonderful job. I was so impressed with him that I said, if you are interested, we'll bring you to other projects to provide financing. He's excited about that. Staff doing the make ready, I said that earlier, but that was so important, and they jumped all over that. So Jonathan and his crew, Mike Miller, they've been doing a great job of making those poles ready, as the name implies. Make ready is important because we can't hang fiber if they're not ready. So they've been doing a great job. And as quickly as we can, as Mike just said, we want to make sure that you're connecting customers throughout the installation process.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Item number 6, new business. Item A, discussion with possible action, water and sewer issues at 1106 Northeast 3rd Avenue, resident Cameron Smith. Just state your name and your residence, please, sir.
Cameron Smith, 1106 Northeast 3rd Avenue, Williston, Florida. Yes, I called prior to this hearing. I had to leave and go out of town. But for some reason, the clerk still put the information on the agenda anyway. And there was a lot of discussion, I understand, outside of my presence. I went back and I reviewed what was said. Apparently, the clerk put it out there that I'm looking for money back. Well, I'm here to say tonight, I had 3 meetings.
I think you were here.
With the clerk. Well, I hear a mumbling, so let me clarify one thing. And I can only say this. If the clerk chooses to say I didn't call her to remove my name off the agenda, it was on the car speakerphone with 3 other people in the car directing her that I couldn't make it to the meeting, to please take my name off the agenda. And I would come back at a later date, and I'm here tonight. So,
Mr. Smith, let me just correct you on that.
It was probably too late.
No, it was too late to take you off, and I did tell them to table that item. But the public works supervisor wanted to speak on it, but I did tell them that you were not going to be able, so I did.
okay. We're going to move forward. We're going to move on. And thank you. Thank you. So the reason why I wanted to come before tonight is to, I guess, to make it known that I have been getting charged for water. I have been getting charged for gas. Somebody had to someone came forward with some common sense and stopped the charge for the gas. But I have been getting charged for this ever since all of this happened. And part of it was my fault. You sent me a bill and I paid the bill. Okay? But when you continued to charge me for water, and when the city, when I say we, the city continued to charge me for gas as well. The federal government doesn't like stuff like that, because the names of Juarez, Gambino, Luciani, all of those people, they got themselves in a whole lot of trouble for trying to strong arm the citizens. So the federal government came down on them and said that anytime you do that, and when the city chose to charge me gas and water, and you put that in the mail, that became wire fraud and racketeering. So your attorney, Ms. Ballou, she can help you with that. She can help you better understand how, that's 62 counts, by the way. 62 counts. $10,000 fine, 5 years in prison. I don't want anyone to go to jail. I don't. But I will be made whole. I will be made whole. So tonight, You council members, you need to direct Ms. Ballou to contact me so we can move forward. I love my city. I love this little town. I don't understand a lot of the things that you do. I don't understand why some things are the way they are, but guess what? We're never going to get all the answers that we want before we leave this world. So that's all I have to say. And one other thing. There's something about name, image, and likeness now. And when you start throwing folks' names out, especially Mr. Mayor here says, had I looked at it, it doesn't matter if I looked at it. I chose to remove myself from the conversation and the agenda. Remove myself off of that. But a decision was made by someone to continue. Just be careful. That's not one of my issues tonight, and I am satisfied. And thank you. Thank you for giving me the time to come in and address that. But imagine you not having no running water in your house and they're charging you? There's been no gas in the home for 6 years. Oh, and by the way, please direct your utilities people to come and remove all of their gas. I will never need it again. Your meter, your pipes, remove them. I no longer need them. And it's been officially said, I think the last time I asked about them removing them, oh, it has to be 3 years. It has to be 3 years. I've never heard that. I've checked with Marion County. I've checked with some of the cities right here in Levy County. They never heard of any foolishness like that. Remove it and cap it. Oh, and by the way, I've got to figure out something now. I got to figure out a way on my once water is restored. Once water is restored, I've got roaches crawling up through my water line. You know why? Because they didn't cap it. It's one thing that you have to address one thing, then you have to turn around and address something else. Here's the other thing is this. I was charged $500 for tampering with a meter. And I was trying to tell the former city manager that this was personal. This was something personal that they were doing to me. It was personal. I tried to tell them. I even told them about charging me for water and gas, and oh, it's in the ordinance. Well, you can't make an ordinance like that. You cannot arbitrarily make an ordinance that's gonna without my consent charge me. And I'm telling you, I did not give them permission to charge me for water. I did not give them permission to charge me for gas. So this has got to be resolved. And your city attorney is swinging on a chair now, probably trying to figure out a way, how are we going to resolve this? How are we going to resolve it? So, the other thing is, you charge me for a meter that everyone else was receiving. Charge me $500 for the same meter. It's not a special meter. It's not special. First, they tell me it was too close to the septic tank. Oh, we got to give you another meter. Okay, all right. You got to give me another one because it was too close to the septic tank. Then you tell me we were just updating our meters. Which is it? There's a lie in there somewhere, and the truth is still waiting. Where's the truth at? So that's all I have, and thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Does anyone have any questions?
So he's going to leave, so I can't call it back to him.
Oh. All right.
I guess I won't.
There's nothing we need to do, correct?
Based on what was said, I have no reason to believe that the city has committed any crimes, and I will thoroughly investigate any issues that arise. Thank you.
There's not a
Okay,
gas
thank you.
charge on this bill. I mean, if he wants to come back, I'd be glad to discuss it with him. There's no gas charge on this bill.
I will thoroughly investigate any.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll move forward. Item B, discussion with possible action, request approval to trade old Glock 45 cal pistols along with donated ammo to outfit Northeast Guns.
It's actually new.
Oh, New Guns. Chief Mike Rolls. Is he here? Are you speaking for it?
I don't know if he is or not.
If
Okay,
Chief-
so basically what
He
it
had a
is
thing, but it's 6
is
o'clock, so
this
it's
is
probably
great.
not.
The cost of this is zero. There's I don't know if he's already spoke to you guys, but the cost is zero. So what he wants to do is take our Glocks. We already have the 9mm that were donated, and we're going to take the Glocks and the ammo, and we're going to be able to equip the new guns with a flashlight, our front and rear sights, which are night sights. So if at nighttime they're going to illuminate, and there's also in the holsters. But the bottom line is we get the guns, and it's zero cost. Because all that ammo right there that we got last time from Tallahassee, we are not going to shoot all that ammo. So we might as well do something with it and make it to our advantage. You could be here 10 years and we're not going to, and the ammo is going to eventually go bad. So let's use it. Let's do that so we can go ahead and change this out at zero cost.
Does it need to come back with a resolution?
It does not.
You want a motion?
Can I get a motion?
I move we approve the request from the police chief for approval to trade the old Glock 45s caliber pistols along with the donation of ammo to outfit the new guns, which I believe are Glock 9mm.
A second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion from the council? Any discussion?
We're paying this. We're helping Jennings, the town of Jennings, with these, or we're just trading out with the guns. I know we're doing the police cars.
Yeah.
Right.
They're
these,
selling the guns.
Yeah, these came from I believe Denellen.
Okay.
Okay, so we got the 9s from
The new
them.
one came from Denellen, yeah.
Right, and then we're Owen has set up to take these and the ammos to a gun place that is going to, in return, we give them that. They give us the flashlights for the bottoms. They
Okay.
give them the sights, so at nighttime, because the guns we have now, at nighttime they don't illuminate, and then there's a special sight on there that makes us more to shoot better at nighttime. It actually lights it up, so it's really to our advantage.
Okay. Good.
So zero cost.
It's a good thing.
Any discussion from the public? If none, we go to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Item number C. Discussion with possible action placemaking peanut statues. City Planner Laura Jones.
Thank you, President Hines. Tisha called Sue and talked to her about getting peanuts. I don't know if you guys have seen the clams out in Cedar Key, but we are trying really hard to start some placemaking in the city. You know, our main street that you guys approved, our plan has a lot of walkability, and this will just kind of help us to get people to pull over and start looking. Now, I don't know what it's going to cost us. The peanuts are being donated by the tourism department, but we will have to pay for the artists, and we don't know how much that's going to cost. So I've talked to a few people from the Peanut Project they did a few years ago, and most of the horses in Ocala, and they've been donated by schools and colleges and artists. So I think we can probably get along those lines. We don't know what they're going to be mounted to or how we're going to place them in these areas. All I'm asking for tonight is the spots, if the spots are okay with you. So the first spot would be right here at the corner where the benches are. The second spot would be down by the gazebo, which is going to be renovated in the next few years as is. The other spot would be at the Levy County Visitors Bureau building. I thought that would be a good spot because what you really want to do is you want people to see this trail and then go to that place and then kind of have something to do there. So that would be great if we brought them over to Tisha's office. The other spot would be at Cornelius Williams Park entrance. And then another spot, which the entrance is going to be redone. We're going to get a big new sign. We're going to have some fencing. So this will be all part of that. And then the other spot would be at the airport. Hopefully they would bring in, this is at the very beginning of our downtown, our new Main Street, down by the school. And then the last one would be at the airport. I asked the airport manager where he wanted it, and maybe inside, maybe outside, we're not sure yet, but we just want people to go down there and know that airport's there. I think that's one of the hidden gems we have here. People don't know about the airport, and this trail will lead them right there. And that FBO is beautiful, and they could go inside and walk around and really learn something about Williston. Now, these are movable, so, if the DOT comes in and puts their circle in over here or something terrible, and we have to move our peanut, it wouldn't be a big deal.
Okay. Do we have to have a resolution or can we get a motion? A consensus.
Just consensus to direct staff.
Okay.
I say yes.
I say yes.
Sure.
Why not?
So we have
One question for Ms. Jones. Ms. Jones.
Yes, sir.
You say you were going to talk to the schools about painting these?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you see the pictures of the clams?
Yes.
So the peanuts are going to be similar. They're not going to be the giant peanuts that the project was before. Those were really big peanuts that were on wheels. These will be a little bit smaller. And they'll all have a story. Hopefully we could get somebody to do a story about the airport on their peanut and maybe a Main Street on their peanut. So I think we can get most of this donated. Sometimes you do have to buy the paint and the supplies if you get art donated. Or maybe we'll have to pay or make a donation to one of the schools. But I think it'll be fairly small.
Let me just say, during the fair, we did a project called the Trashy Art Barrel. Believe it or not, that's what we called it. It was done through Waste Pro at the time, and Waste Pro paid for the barrels is all they did. And we did get people. We did 10 of them, and we got people to donate the artwork, and we got everybody from Linda Valentine Brown, who is a famous artist, to FFA did one, 4-H did one. Just everybody did one, and they were absolutely beautiful. WAG did one. It was a basset hound that wrapped all the way around the barrel. I happened to have it in my backyard. And they were just all really unique and different. And then we auctioned them to raise money for a project that we were doing. But I'm sure and the high school art, even in Cedar Key, the high school did one of them.
Mm-hmm.
The high school art department did one of them. So I think we can get them done without costing a whole lot of money.
So question is just going to be like a regular peanut, no legs, or
it's not going to be a peanut man. Okay. Yeah. We haven't purchased them yet. Tisha's going to be working on that. I think she helped pick out these clams. I just really need to know the location so that I could start to move on and get my permits and anything I need. I did make sure that all of this was on city property, and that's why unfortunately, I really wanted one by the water tower up by the Winn-Dixie, but the way that the property was, I was afraid of bringing people. I didn't want people to stop by the water tower because that property is not ours, it's DOT. So I decided not to do it there.
Okay, thanks.
The only one that I would worry about the safety of is the one at the end of South Main.
By the school?
Yeah, I'd be afraid somebody would run it over, but if we put it far enough off the road, maybe they won't.
Yeah, and that one will have to be moved eventually because we'll be doing a big water project there. So, but we could put it in and on our right of way, and then we may have to move it for the water projects. Yes, ma'am.
I just was in Vernal, Utah, and they're really proud of their dinosaurs out there, and all of the business had these little adorable, they were all the same dinosaur, but they got them painted like the 7-Eleven had them painted in 7-Eleven colors, and like the Checkers auto place had it in Checkers. So anyway, maybe we could expand in the future to businesses being able to get the same size ones.
Sure,
possibly.
yeah.
Cool. It was cute. I have pictures.
Anything from the public? All right, we have a consensus of 4-0. Item number D, discussion with possible action, code enforcement lien reduction policy, City Planner Laura Jones and City Attorney.
I don't mind starting this off. So you all remember we talked about this a little while ago. Obviously we had, as was mentioned earlier, the fiber financing issue sort of derailed this project for a little while, and now we're back on track. So the proposal in front of you for a code enforcement lien reduction policy can easily be changed into an ordinance, or it can be just a policy. So that's one of the issues that you all haven't decided on. Most of the rest of it has been, or generally you all were in agreement with, except for Section 4, which is the penalty reductions itself. I put in both sort of frameworks that you all had discussed so that you could see sort of how they would lay out and what they would look like. But I'm just sort of trying to get feedback from you all. One, on the policy versus ordinance decision, and two, on the sort of penalty reduction. And then just to reiterate, it was expressed that you all wanted this to sort of go through the code enforcement board first, and then you all as appeal, so that is how I wrote it. So it's a little bit different than what we do now.
Yeah.
So happy to answer any questions, but really sort of looking for feedback, yay, nay, we like it, we hate it.
Any discussion?
And choosing between, on Section 4, but choosing between one or the other of the ways.
Correct.
To
reduce.
Reduce or not reduce.
Correct.
Can I go ahead and give my thoughts?
Yes.
Okay. For the sake of being easy to understand, I think the first one is easier for the average person to look at that and not have to do a lot of math, and it gives us some leeway with how much we can reduce past a certain point. And so that would be my suggestion, to go that way, as long as the amount of reduction that is allowed is substantial enough to be a deterrent. If not, why bother?
Right. Agree.
And I, on the other hand, like the other section, I like the way the gravity of the violation, whether it's minor or significant, comes into play, because some of them are minor and they may last forever. I also like the fact that it took into account how long it had been there, whether it was under 6 months or 6 to 12 months or over 2 years. And I assume you added those two together, like you did at a 50% for minor.
Yep. So
under 6 months you add the 30, so it'd be 80% reduction.
Correct. That's how that's set up.
And if they had no previous history, there was another 20%. And repeat violator had no reduction whatsoever. I liked that. I thought it was fairer when you look at all the other, and the fact that there's a $500 application
to even apply. I think most of that is going to be our expense itself, and anything else is kind of gravy. And if they see that it's minor and under 6 months, I think they will act quickly. And if it's significant, they'll act even quicker.
So that was going to be my question too. Do we add them all together, or is it?
Yep. In the second proposed framework, you would add 1, 2, and 3 together for your total lien reduction, and you can change those numbers. That's just what's proposed. I mean,
Right.
It could be any variation.
And in no way exceeds 100%. Right. I thought that was a fairer way, especially for a first offender, who would jump right on it when you gave them this information and get it done, in order to get that 80% reduction if they were minor and under 6 months.
But the reduction only comes into place once they have cleaned up the
Completed it
property.
up. Yep. And they would get it done really fast if they knew they could do this.
And the $500 application fee is for either
Yeah,
for either of these.
I believe so.
Okay,
That's
great.
the way I read it.
Yeah, and I'm really fine with both. That was just my thought about looking at that. I'm really fine with both.
And I like the way you wrote it, that if it had to do with someone who was getting ready to buy the property, then they were making the application. It was a totally different.
That is a common carve out. I
is.
saw that in a couple
Absolutely.
different
I'm glad that was in there.
policies, so I made sure to include that. There are a few things in here that I just sort of, as they were common in other policies, I put them in. None of it is set in stone, but
And
I
a
put
lot
it
of
in popular
times that
provisions.
is significant.
Mhm.
I mean, it would come up with a significant violation. You come up
Sure.
with a lengthy violation for that person that's getting ready to buy it and try to put it back on the tax rolls. So I felt like we needed to give them a little grace, I guess is the right word.
Mr. Cox?
Good. Couldn't agree a lot with Deborah with it.
The second.
Mm-hmm.
And as to whether it's an ordinance or policy, whichever you think is will serve us the best.
I think an ordinance would serve you best. I think that makes it most public and most available.
The main thing, we just want them to get it cleaned up.
Yeah, exactly.
So if we make it fair, it's an encouragement.
It is. It gives them incentive to get it done quickly.
Yeah.
Just one. Oh, sorry.
Just a quick question. So the difference between an ordinance and a policy is the ordinance has to come before the council and the policy can be changed at any point.
Yeah, so the policy can be changed with just any, meeting. You could change policy. Ordinance would need 2 readings in order to be changed. The big thing is that if you're talking about you want this to have deterrent, a lot of the time we see people come in and they say, I didn't realize that's your policy on this thing. You would have to call. It's not on, Muni code the way that our ordinances are on Muni code. And that's a lot of, I think, what we hear that I didn't realize. And if you're looking for a deterrent sort of factor, a policy is not going to serve you in that way.
Okay. Ms. Meredith?
So just to clarify regarding somebody purchasing a property, for
Sure.
example, the Waymar property. So my concern with that was that we reduced the liens, the sale fell through, those liens are gone.
Mhm.
And now I don't feel like that's fair to, anybody can kind of come in and say, oh, I have a buyer, and so I need these liens reduced. So my understanding from reading this, I just want clarification, is that it's the buyer that comes in and they ask for the lien reduction, but it is tied to the sale. So if the sale does not happen, there is no lien reduction.
It also has to be cleaned up before you can apply.
Yeah, so there's a couple of different provisions that look at that sort of potential possibility. So if you look at section 3.1 G, that's where it talks about reductions based on a proposed real estate transaction. So the applicant has to specify that the proposed redevelopment or intended use, what it is. If you find that is a credible designation and you support it with your land development codes, you can require the applicant to enter into an agreement specifying the conditions. Now, there is also a provision, if you look up at C, where it's sort of, and also D, where it talks about the differences between if the person coming before you is the property owner who owned it when the fines were incurred versus they currently own the property, not a pending transaction, and they're coming before you to try and get them reduced. So it talks about both pending and completed transactions.
So yeah, I guess that's my confusion, is that I feel like it says two different things here. And so can you clarify that? Because in G, it basically says that the person who owns the property currently, who is thinking that they might sell it, can come and say, oh, I'm going to sell it. I need, like Waymar, I need these fines reduced so I can make more money on my transaction, which doesn't seem fair in the scheme of this.
Sure.
And so that's what I'm concerned this says. Does it say that, or am I reading it wrong?
I don't think that it says that exact thing. I think it says if there's a proposed real estate transaction, like sort of what happened here, then the owner of the property, so who currently owns it, who incurred the fines, not the proposed buyer, would come before you and say, one, it's cleaned up because in order to be eligible, it's got to be in compliance with your LDRs. And then they say, hey, this is what we're going to use it for. This is what the buyer wants to use it for. This is going to be a really great use for the city of Williston. It complies with all of your LDRs. If you all decide at that point that you want to permit some lien reduction, you can require the applicant to enter into an agreement that says if the property is not developed or used consistent with the agreement, the fines and liens are reinstated or reduced.
We can give them a top grade to make that happen.
Anyone from the public? If you'll come to tell us your name and where you live.
My name's Chip Hughley. I live in the city of Williston. Who's code enforcement?
The young
Who's
lady.
that?
She,
Where?
the young lady that was sitting right over there.
Well, who's that? She brand new? She just
Yes,
started?
she is. She just started.
She did? Okay. Just curious. So
She's
carry
on me
out that?
too. Christy Lewis, but she has like 20 years of experience somewhere else.
Does she? All right, just curious.
Anyone else? So do I need a vote?
I'm going to bring this back as an ordinance,
As
but I think what I'm hearing is we're good with everything in here, and we'd like option 2 for section 4.
Yep, that's good.
Okay. All right. I'll bring it back.
Thank you. All right, so item E, discussion with possible action, request for proposal for 541 North, 541 West Noble Avenue, Pesos Old Property. City Attorney?
I don't know why I turned my mic off. This is the RP for the top of the hill property. I put the most amount of information that we can have possibly in here, because it's easier for you to tell me what you don't want than for things to be added in if you don't even know what's possible. So obviously there are blanks depending on dates and depending on when we put this out, but and the forms numbers will change and all of that good stuff, but the content and the substance is really what I wanted your feedback on, to give me a sense of, is this how we want to target this property, or do we want to do something different with it before we go ahead and put out an RFP? And I'm seeing lots of looks, so I'm just going to leave it there and give me your feedback.
You want me to start?
Yeah, you can.
Good.
Mike, you want to start?
Good.
I think our first question, and it's been my question all along, is do we want to be in the real estate business?
That's gonna
Do
be-
we want to own a piece of property that we're leasing to somebody? And number 2, we're leasing it to them for a short period of time and asking them to build a building that's going to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I think the whole lease, it was 7 years with a couple of 1 years that went up to 12 at
With
the whole
extensions,
at
right.
the outside. So who's going to build a building and put $300,000, $400,000 building on it and think they're going to get their money back in 12 years? Or 7 years with 5 additional 1-year options, which is what it reads.
And I know I've heard that there are a lot of cities that do own property and they lease it. And I love what you've written about the 24/7 diner. I'm fine with all that. That's great. That's exactly what we wanted, and I think it's good enough to get what we might want. But I think we're limiting it so much to somebody who's going to have that kind of money and walk in here and put it down and not walk away from it or think they can earn their money back in 12 years.
Generally, what I've dealt with in previous job history is it might be like a 10-year, and then it might be 3 5-year consecutives thereafter. Pretty much like,
or like at the airport, we do like a 30-year.
Mm-hmm.
They can get their money back on that, so.
Right.
I just don't see.
Yeah, the timeline is absolutely flexible.
Yeah. I can't see anybody coming in here and spending a lot of money. I mean, even I think about, and what I think about, the Dollar General down here. It's owned by a private person here in Williston, and it's built and rented by Dollar General. But they have a long-term lease.
Mm-hmm.
I don't exactly know what it is, but I know that they've been there a long time, and I'm sure they've gotten their money back. I've even been told they're going to tear it down and build a bigger one. But I don't know. But I can think that a 7-year deal, I don't think is going to get us what we want.
No, I agree.
So, question.
And let me
Let me
add one more thing. If it's downtown, and we're doing a downtown, and I realize that's in the CRA, but in the downtown area, I can see us owning some property and trying to do what we want downtown, downstairs and versus upstairs if we have an upstairs. But over there, I think it's totally different. I just want to add that.
Ms. Meredith.
You go ahead.
I forgot what I was going to say.
I strongly feel that we should look for ways to generate income that do not involve raising taxes on our citizens, and this is a great way to do it. We already own the property. We can establish whatever lease period we want. We've been shut down on several grants recently in the last couple meetings where we thought we were going to have money that was going to come into the city so that the taxes didn't have to get raised on people, and those grants have disappeared. I think we are probably going to be in a bit of a roller coaster for the next gosh knows how many years, and for us to have a little bit of financial security, to have a little bit of money coming in to pay for improvements to the city that don't cost the taxpayers anything is genius to me, and I think we should do more of it personally.
I agree.
So sell it for $200,000.
But that's just
But that's
come
a
and
one
gone.
time.
It's one and gone. Yep.
Yeah, it's one
Yep.
time.
And
then when the money's gone,
how much do you think you're going to get for that little piece of property?
It's in eternity. I mean, it's in perpetuity. Sorry, and so we keep and that's why maybe we have the lease, and we negotiate that and do the math on it, but to make sure that it is a good return on our investment, and we can always sell it down the road if we want to. We can sell it down the road for probably way more than $200,000, and we get that money plus the lease money, plus we have control over who comes in.
Yeah.
Quick question.
We're not
Let
going
me ask this question. Before I forget it. So, the time frame. If we actually put it in as a specific time frame, it can't be changed. Is it concrete?
We could make that part of, so 10,000 foot view is a request for proposals is saying this is what we generally want, and here are the areas that we're willing to negotiate with you on. So we could make it, if you look here, there's a chart for a respondent to say this is what I'm willing to pay in rent, and we can make it such that, what is the lowest number of years that you'd be willing to lease the building, and then that can be another one of the criteria. Or you can say we think that it's probably good to set it at 15 years or 20 years or whatever you all think is fine. Then you set it there, and then if the responses that come back are, hey, that's not long enough, then you can resubmit at a different time frame.
Well, what if it's too long? What if somebody doesn't necessarily want
Sure.
20 years? Can we change it? If we put it in there, can we?
Like a 10 with 4 5s.
Mm-hmm.
That'd give them 30 years if
And
they wanted it.
it's it can be as an auto renewal, or they can back out.
Yeah, with 60 days
You know,
notice,
from
they
there.
don't renew. That's what we do at the airport, essentially.
Yeah. I'm good with. At first, I wasn't too keen on keeping the property and selling. Me, I would much rather just. But thinking about it, and I like the fact that we can do it. We can generate some money, but we need somebody, who's going to monitor it, who's going to be the person in charge to do the leasing, who will follow up with it, who's going to be that contact. So if the landlord has an issue, who's going to be the person?
I guess Selena, she's our collection agency. There's
So-
a new job for Selena.
Ms. Laura?
Thank you, President Hines. We already do have quite a few businesses in town that are land leases. One of them is the Winn-Dixie. Another one is going to be the Elianos. It's not uncommon for businesses to build their buildings on land leases. And for us to manage it, it shouldn't be very much because that'll all come in a management agreement that we have. But Kirsten can put this RFP out as completely negotiable for the terms of the years. So you don't even have to put that in the RFP. What we're asking them to give us is a proposal of what they want to do with our land. And we can say, what are the terms of your land lease? How many years would you like to have it? The research that we've done, because Donald and I have done a lot of research on this, a lot of restaurants don't want as long of a land lease as, say, like a Winn-Dixie. For example, our Winn-Dixie right now has a 26-year land lease. But some of the restaurants in town just have like a 5 to 7, because restaurants often fail after 5 to 7 years, unfortunately. So they want to be able to get out, and they don't want to have to sublease and then have those legal problems. So she can put this out as saying, you tell us what you want.
I don't agree with the 5-year or a 7-year lease.
Either. I want it to be
Because
longer.
that's going to be an investment that the franchisee will put into. And just to be that short of a one, they won't get their money back.
What I'm saying is that's not our call. A lot of restaurants do a 5 to a 7-year lease because if they do fail, they don't want to have to sublease the building. They want to give the building back. They know that the business may or may not work. That's not the city's business. That's none of our business. If they fail, we didn't do anything to fail them.
Are these mom and pop restaurants, or are these franchise?
Everything from mom and pop to franchises. A lot of the Dunkin' Donuts don't own their own properties.
Correct.
Starbucks don't own their own properties.
But their leases are
5 to 7 years usually to begin with.
I don't know.
But what I'm saying is, why do I care what their land lease is? Let them tell us what they're comfortable doing.
Yeah, she's saying it's room for negotiation there.
Yeah.
Whatever the incoming business wants to do for the lease, that can be negotiated with
Yes.
us. Yeah.
I do like that better than just telling them what it has to be.
Sure. We
Because
can absolutely do
because
that.
the way it is now, they're not going to get a return on their investment.
Anything from the public?
The other thing I would add is if we had a building there, I wouldn't have any problem with it at all. Because leasing a building is not a problem. It's just got to get in my brain leasing a piece of property because somebody else is going to build this huge monetary building on. But if we let them negotiate the number of years, then that's their doing.
But then you may, if you build a building, you may.
No, I don't mean that. I just.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say we may be blocking.
If it was a
who
building
wants
we owned, I wouldn't have any problem at all with that. But
Eventually it will be.
yeah, if they walk away from it, we will own it. That's right. And then we can do a lease of a building and not a lease of a land lease.
And
That
the
should be
nice,
sad.
the nice part about it is when somebody takes it over, it gets freshened up and things like that. So it's always going to look nice.
Hopefully.
So, do you?
If
you have to
that's
come back.
if that's really the only change that we're looking for, nothing else stood out to anybody, I can make that change very easily and we can send out the RFP.
I'm seeing head nods, thumbs up. All right,
That was
we're
really
on
the
it.
only thing I had.
Item number F, discussion with possible action, employee performance review form, city manager Sue Bodette and HR director Kim Troy.
I'm going to update. Sue is connected online, but she's having limited internet problems where she's at, so she's not able to talk.
Okay.
So.
Can you hear me?
Oh, wait, she's here now.
Yeah, I unmuted myself.
Oh, you figured it out. Okay.
Okay. I'm on. Sorry. Okay, so we wanted to put this in the council packet because, as you guys may recall, when you first hired me and I asked what some of your goals were for the new city manager, you had mentioned an annual employee performance review. So the form that's in your packet was a combination of a form that I had previously used and then a form that the city previously used. And if you take a look at it, the department heads would evaluate employees on 7 key skills, which are job knowledge, work quality, attendance or punctuality, safety, initiative, communication listening skills, and dependability. And what would happen is the employees would receive a rating from 1, which is poor, to 5, which is excellent, on each of those 7 skills. And the pay increases would be based on the average overall rating. And then on the second page, you can see the department heads would also have the opportunity to evaluate employee strengths and weaknesses and goals for the next coming year and all that sort of thing. So I wanted to put that before you. Obviously, we've got budget workshops coming up, and I just wanted to put this before you and see if we're on the right track, if this is something you're still interested in, or what your thoughts were on that.
A question I have is when you're doing the evaluation and is there going to be a mid-year evaluation where the supervisor, if they're having issues with somebody or seeing that things are not done, they can have a conversation with them? They're not really evaluating them on a piece of paper, but having that comment so that that person knows up until their evaluation that there's issues that they need to change. I think we probably need to look at that, because if I don't know that there's a problem or issue, or you're having an issue with me, I can't do anything about it really. So I would like to try to figure out how to do that. And the other thing is employees giving feedback to management based on, related to how they think they've done different things that they may have done that the management may not have seen. So can we kind of like think about that as well? So just a suggestion.
So to answer your questions, on the last page, it says there's notes to the supervisor. So basically it states that the action plan, it's not just a negative performance. The review period can be set to any time. So you can have a quarterly, you can have a mid, you can have an annual. Also, it says that the employee and the reviewer are going to both sit in a setting, and all these goals should be achievable. All of them should align with the employee's personal goals to get to the next level. This whole thing, if in the back it gives notes to supervisor that this is a conversation, not just like a performance review, right? This should not be written prior to the employee being, like sitting down. This is a conversation between the supervisor and the manager, or the supervisor and the employee. And then this is created to where the conversation happens. They both talk about strengths and weaknesses. They go over, it's not a discipline, and it states that in the notes that this is not a disciplinary action. We do have a process for that. This is to achieve succession to the next level. It lets the employee know what they are, if I wanted to be the next higher up from, let's just say I was a HR generalist and I wanted to move to the director position. Basically, I would sit down with whoever my supervisor was at that time. They would tell me what I need to do to move to those levels, and we create the timeline, and the timeline has to be achievable. You can't give somebody something right out of the gates that they cannot achieve. It's basically, it's a two-sided thing, And it says if an employee fails the action plan, revisit and adjust it based on performance. It doesn't have to be annually. Like if you set those goals in 3 months, it is on the supervisor and the employee. It creates the responsibility between the two to come back and look at this plan and see why they failed, what they failed. And again, it's not a disciplinary measure. It is a conversation that goes into the comments that are put in there that you can, okay, we didn't achieve this goal. Why did this happen? It's not the...
I get it. I understand that.
Yeah.
I still believe that you go a whole year knowing that someone is having issues or there's things that you're not happy with. You let them go a whole year and then you give them a bad evaluation. There should be a midpoint where they have that conversation and give that person an opportunity to correct whatever actions or mistakes or whatever it is that they're doing before they get that rating. Me sitting down with an employee and telling them different things and then they're writing, it's too late then, because I've already given them a review. So I just think that we need to be a little bit more proactive instead of reactive, and let staff know. And also when you let them give you information based on what they've done, what they thought, the amount of people that are here. Sue can't see everybody that's doing whatever that they're doing. Jonathan can't see everybody, even though he's the director. So there are going to be opportunities where things may get missed that employee knows what they've done. So if they're allowed to give their input on their evaluation, I think it'll be a little bit better. That's just my thought process.
And I know, like with the state, I know people who work for the state, and basically the employee would get that. They would do an evaluation on themselves, and then they would turn around and sit down with their supervisor, and then they compare. As far as with that,
and we do that with the city clerk. She does have a self-evaluation.
Yeah,
I think you do it with the city manager.
They can be done. I know companies that do that on a quarterly basis. Some do it every 30 days on employees. It's just a little simple evaluation tool, but they do it to go over it with their employees and just to keep everybody going. And if there are issues, they can be addressed. And
Yeah, we can do, because we did that in the federal government. When I first started, I was given a performance plan with goals and everything that USDA had set forth, and then I was allowed to go in and add my comments. And we just had we call them quarterly conversations. Then that way they're not used as like an annual review, and we can do quarterly conversations, quarterly evaluations, whatever anybody
whatever
wants.
name you want to put on it.
Yeah.
As long as they're having that conversation with staff midway through so that they can know that you're satisfied or not satisfied. How can I improve? How can I improve, So, Ms. Meredith.
Real quick.
No, go ahead.
Just a quick question. This is not tied to salary raise or wage raise. This is just purely performance review. Is that correct, or am I misunderstanding?
in my previous thing, this is based on their raise.
Because I feel like that's what we...
only the city clerk and the city manager. We've done that way.
It should not be tied to their pay.
Okay.
It is tied to their raise.
No.
If they
Tied to their salary.
Yeah.
tied to their salary.
No.
We had this discussion a long time ago when I tried to stop
So much for my turn.
that very same thing. And I was overruled. The council made the decision to use their evaluation, and I gave all my reasons, just wasn't enough. The council chose to use it for the charter officers. And so, have you set a precedent? Ask her.
We've only done it for the charter officers in the past. Before, we have not used their performance review.
When
Have you ever had a performance review?
I'm not going to have a conversation with you.
I don't want you to.
Good. Then we're
Okay, got it.
in agreement. when I was the president, we had this conversation, and we did not. You can check back over the minutes. I said, evaluation is an evaluation. A raise, you give someone a raise by all means, but don't tie them together because it skews the evaluation. If you know you're going to have to give someone a 5% raise, if you give them a 0.5 on the evaluation, you might not want to do it. And I just thought it was a bad idea. I was overruled. It has done it. It didn't used to be, and then it was. I don't know what, history is history, but you have a choice. And it is not by charter. If the attorney would correct me, I would appreciate it. It's nothing in the charter that says you must.
That's not what I said at all, Mr. Mayor.
Excuse me.
It's not what I said.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Excuse me. Thank you.
I heard you 3 times.
And I heard you 100 times.
Oh, that's good.
Okay. Mr. Please.
I'm trying.
Is there anything, the attorney, is there anything in the charter that says you must tie them together?
There is not.
Of course not.
There is not.
Thank you.
Is it my turn?
Mr. Mike, did you have a question?
No.
No. Okay, Miss Deborah.
Are you sure?
As long as it's related to the conversation and
Of
not
course it
anything
is.
that,
Okay.
we're not going.
I had my hand up
Okay.
a long time ago.
Okay, go ahead.
I know that Sue and Kim were not here. I have always wanted, and I don't know about the whole council, but I've always wanted it to be job performance based. And you are referencing see attached job description, but nothing here, other than that very first line, has anything to do with what their job performance is. It has to do with whether they're on time, whether they're, whatever they're doing here. I'll have to look at all the rest of it. It's very generic, I guess is what, whether they're safe, whether they take initiative. It has nothing to do with their job performance, with what their job duties are. And I would love to see it tied to their specific job description as to what, just like Latricia's is. I don't know if you've seen hers. Hers is based on the charter, and it is, we evaluate her on the things she does in the charter that she's supposed to do, that are listed in the charter, because that's the way the evaluation was written. And I just feel like everybody should be that way. And that's just me. I don't know how anybody else feels.
That's true, it should be.
So, my question, supervisors evaluate the workers. Who does the supervisor's job evaluation? Theirs needs to be, I think, a little bit of a different
Correct.
one.
So the supervisors have Jonathan. And then Jonathan has Miss Sue. And Miss Sue has us. So that's the order of organization.
Just wanted clarification.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Any other comments from the council?
I believe there's Mr. Benton back there and then Amos.
Staff. Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr.
Thank you. So just to touch on a couple of the points that were talked about, if we start to tailor this too much to specific job performance, you're going to have a different evaluation for every single job. So looking at what we have here, right time, right place, right uniform, work ethic, job knowledge, all of that is job performance based. If they don't know the first thing about how to put 2 pipes together, they're probably not going to get a 3. So I think that you have to be careful with how we tailor this too much, or we're going to make, a Form 1, Form 2, Form 3. You're going to have 50 different forms for evaluations, and that's
specific.
Terrible. That's terrible to
Here
keep track of.
you don't know if they put 2 pipes together, or they know how to go up in a bucket truck.
Job knowledge.
Right, but that would be up to the supervisor to know what that employee knows or doesn't know. That's what they get paid for.
Does the supervisor know what every employee does?
He better. Yeah.
I'm just asking a
Yeah,
question.
if he's a leader in this organization, he better, or she better.
But that's not all. Please don't talk. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
We're going to have public discussion. Yeah, but how do we determine that they know? If we go based on this, how does the city manager who's just now coming in know that her supervisors or department head and then supervisors know the job of each individual person?
That's a really good question. I would say that at first it's going to be difficult for any city manager to walk in and immediately know those things. You're going to have to get a feel for your people, and I do mean this as respectfully as possible to the council. It's not the council's job to run the city. It's the city manager's job. And if you guys feel like she's doing a poor job at that, every 2 weeks you have an opportunity to tell her that, or the city manager that. And I'm not trying to step on toes, but if 6 months down the line, Sue is seeing issues, and even you guys are seeing issues that are not being resolved, that's when it starts to get brought to their attention. And you guys start to have those conversations, and there is a process for all of this, and most of it is in either the charter or the HR manual. Like this is, like it said, this is not a disciplinary tool. I think this looks decent. I'd love to get my hands on it once they get it tweaked out, and I'm sure we will once we get it there. But that's Sue and Miss Kim's line right now, and they're trying to get it done. But yeah, as far as how was Miss Sue going to know what a supervisor knows within the first 2 months of being here, she's not. The manager should know, just like the manager should know his supervisors, just like the supervisors know his people. And if that's not happening, then we'll have a failure in leadership.
Right. Somebody else had a question? Anything from the public?
I wholeheartedly disagree with him.
State your name, please.
Amos Henderson, city worker, worked in utilities over 20 years. Sitting down having this right here does not show the quality of work in any form. How do you tell a lineman or a right-of-way man that he done a good job, or you didn't do this right, when you don't even know what he's doing? If your own supervisor don't, or someone in management don't know what you're doing, or the specifics of what you're supposed to do, or the safety way to do it, or so what is that? I mean, is that just another write-up to get rid of somebody here? Like, you can take that. What protection do a man have when he's doing his job thoroughly, properly, but yet he sit down and you're doing it wrong? Oh no, you get an X on that, an X on that. What protection do he have? You get what y'all don't understand?
Your biggest protection is that your supervisor is the one that's going to do it.
Okay, and what if your supervisor is the one, like, if you're having quorums with anyone in your department, your supervisor in your department, this is an easy way for him, even though you're loyal, work every day, hard, this is an easy way for him to give you a negative review. But yet you're physically here doing the job, being loyal. In the meeting the other day, I can't go to HR. I got to write a grievance. I can't go. I can't do none of that. So, I mean, I'm literally stuck with this when I am here every day. That's why I disagree with it. Now, yes, ma'am.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
So, every organization has a chain of command.
Yes, ma'am.
So, if you have a supervisor, your supervisor has a boss. Your supervisor's boss has a boss. Follow your chain of command. You will never go wrong.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay? So, if you're having issues and you and your supervisor are not working it out, then go to the next higher up person so that they can have a sit down with you both and try to figure it out amicably, that you guys can still work together and not have any issues.
I'm glad you brought that up. But I brought up something about harassment, sexual harassment. Go through the chain of command. But the other day, the following day, I got wrote up for asking that question. Now, mind you, she apologized and all that, but for asking the question. But then the following day, we went over the same thing, that we can come to her and have the open door policy. Like I say, when you're working for what you feel is a honest and reliable company, by all means. But when you see a lot of stuff, and I've been doing this over 20 years that you have never seen before. And at my last utility, I was the only African American in the field, and I never seen the craziness that goes on at the city, like at the city. I really haven't. And it's weird. It's all weird to me. I think this right here is an easy way to get rid of men or women that you do not want here. If I have an issue out there, I'm working undercover out there on the field, it's Mike Miller's job right then and there to call me out that bucket, break it down to me there. Because electricity do not have any mercy on nobody. Right. If I'm cutting the tree wrong, it's right there for Derek right then and there. Not to wait 6 months down the road or try to straighten me out. If I'm cutting it wrong, it's his duty right there as my leader. Hey man, no, you're doing that wrong. Now he can go to John maybe later on. Hey, we may need to talk about this. But right then and there, you get correction then. Utilities don't have no mercy. It's not like the airport. It's not like ACE. Utilities have no mercy at all. You can't wait. You do it right then. You get correction right then. And I land with that. But this right here is utterly ridiculous. At the airport, good. Utilities, never. You do it right then and there. You don't have to sit there and, such and such is doing a great job, or no, man. PPE, you make sure before they get in that bucket, all PPE is on. I don't understand this stuff, but thank y'all. I thank y'all for listening.
Thank you, Amos.
Thank you. Anyone else? Any other public participation?
Albert Fuller, City of Williston. I just wanted to say that I do believe, and there are some specialized areas where evaluations have to be done on the spot and then maybe summarized later on. But I think it's important that when an employee is being evaluated, that employee has an opportunity to self-evaluate before any decisions are made, before any numbers are written down. The reason being, once you write a number down, sometimes you're committed to that number. And your thinking goes with that number, and that's unfair to the employee. Many times, people are working out of their job duties. That needs to be taken into account. And I remember before, when Latricia was actually being evaluated, when y'all were developing her evaluation, there were a lot of things that none of you all knew that she was doing. And so for that reason, I think it's important that there be some kind of self-evaluation tied to their evaluation, so that you come together at the table and have a real conversation, one where both parties has had had opportunities to think and evaluate what has been written down.
Thank you, Mr. Fuller.
I do have a
Anyone
question.
else? Okay, you can ask while he comes forward.
Okay. Did we join up with a company to where if doing FRPs and different things, we could go log into this site? It's something that we did. So could we not go on there and ask if anybody has different forms that they use?
It's the Florida League of Cities. Yeah, and we would ask them to send us for a specific job, or even a generic one if that's what you really want.
Because I know for 3 years, every time we start getting close to budget and raises, this conversation comes up. But people want to talk about, I think we need it. It's just me, because in my 40 years of working, I had them.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people. And I've no doubts with these guys that they can't take care of them. Like the electric. I know Mike's going to make sure that you guys are, are safe. But I think we need something to help.
Yes, sir.
I am Joey Whitehead. I live just outside of Williston. I work for the city. My question is, what's stopping a supervisor, even with a self-evaluation, from making his own decision and just failing the guy completely? He shows up every day, he works hard, he does everything he's supposed to do, but because the supervisor doesn't like the fact that he's not doing exactly what he wants him to do, regardless of whether it's safe or not, what's stopping him from getting rid of him on this evaluation?
Well, we hope that it never got to this point.
Kirsten.
That's just my question.
That would be an HR issue that they could bring.
I think we have to have some way to evaluate our employees.
And I don't disagree with that.
It's just how we come up with it. And I do believe, I agree, almost everywhere I've ever worked has had a self-eval, and you did that first. And you sat down and you had a conversation about that before the department head or the supervisor did your eval. And you tried to work things out before you got to the eval part. I'm used to them being job specific. If that's not what y'all want, that's not what you want. I'm used to, like, does the guy know how to put the pipe together? Whoever it was that said that. I think that was Benton. Does he know how to operate the bucket truck? Does he know how to, and obviously he should if he's doing the job, but is he doing it properly? Is he doing it safely? And I realize those words are there. And if the supervisor takes the job description into account, which I'm sure he will when he's looking at a specific person, it may work like it is. I just think it's very generic.
I agree. That's just me. And well,
Me
obviously
too.
you.
Yes, me
Sorry,
too.
I didn't hear what you said.
I said I agree.
Oh.
Anyone else from the audience?
Can
Were
I
you
add,
done,
can
sir?
I add something?